Welcome to the Daily Sister Wives. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. If you're passionate about the raw, real-life drama of sister wives, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a daily dose of insight, updates, and exclusive commentary. Now, let's get into today's powerful episode. Kody Brown, actress of Sister Wives, is buying up about her marriage to Kody Brown. Kody disclosed an embarrassing fact about her marriage to Kody, which ended in 2021 after more than 25 years during Sunday's one-on-one episode of the TLC Series. As they were ready for their interview with one-on-one host Yusuke Krishnan, Kody said to her current husband, David Woolley, "I feel disgusted with myself because so much of my life was so focused on Kody. You're always here," she added, drawing a comparison between her current relationship with Woolley and her former marriage. "There is never a change in you, and I'm always aware of your presence. I had no idea when Kody will show up. T had us on edge all that time. Not really though. T said that her life was just wrapped up in what Kody needed and what he wanted and what the family needed and wanted. Kody and Kody have 6 children to gar. He didn't simply follow our instructions. In order to make room for him, we had to modify our plans," she subsequently told Krishnan. "And it isn't acceptable. That is unfair. Because of this, he is the center of our lives." Former Sister Wives star Kody Brown in her wedding day to David Woolley in Moab, Utah. Photo by Danny Sork. Looking back on her multiple marriages to Kody, Kody acknowledged that it was frustrating, adding, "It's embarrassing that I lived it." After Sister Wives Janelle and Mary Brown followed Kody's example and ended their marriage, Kody, who is currently just married to Robin Brown, has since proclaimed that he is done with polygamy. During a Sister Wives episode in April, Kody informed Robin, "I don't want to be flippant with my answer, but we were devoted to this, but I'm not interested in plural marriage no more. I don't want that headache. The doubts, the difficulties, the questions about trust, so I don't want to pursue a woman, even after all this time." Janelle Brown of Sister Wives continues to have disclosures on her relationship with Kody Brown. She now admits that she thinks her decision to marry him in 1993 was influenced by their intense courtship. She's come to his realization that Kody and Robin's courtship lasted far longer than the authors, and that caused her to consider whether or not she would have married Kody if they had spent more time together. Janelle Brown questions her hasty union with Kody Brown, the patriarch of Sister Wives. During the Sister Wives one-on-one special, Janelle said, "I honestly don't know if I would have married Kody if we had a yard together." 3 years after Kody's first marriage to Mary Brown, Janelle and Kody first became spiritually united in 1993. Like Mary, she is now thinking about getting a spiritual divorce from Kody. In fact, viewers of Sister Wives Season 19 saw that Kody and Robin were in a monogamous relationship that might not last after each ex-wife moved on without them. Even though Janelle has moved on, she and Kody still disagree about their breakup. "What went wrong between us sunk down to me. However, it got me more and more irate until I finally said, 'Yeah, I'm done.' And she agreed." Kody said in response to Kody's assertion that she enjoys playing the victim. Janelle hit back. She declared, "I want me feelings, boundaries, and emotions respected. So I'm definitely not playing the victim card. That doesn't seem like a victimization to me." She went on to state that Kody is constant lied sparing Robin, Kody, and Mary because he is so preoccupied with causing problems for her. She made a suggestion that Kody continues to demean himself and paint himself as bad guy in order to deflect Robin's culpability. A woman who was previously caught up in the nuances of spiritual nuptials is now facing the emotional burden of her past in a heartbreaking gadmians that resonated with lifelong foolers. She talked candidly about the hidden difficulties she endured. Over 8-decade-long partnership after Lavinga's shared existence, rooted in tradition. Her remarks were a relief, as well as a confession as she sat next to the persona. Now supports her with unwavering devotion. They were a reckoning with years of misguided allegiance and emotional control. In a recent personnel interview for a well-liked documentaries, the woman spoke candidly about their previous marriage in a way that was bad, painful, and freeing. She openly acknowledged that the wants and requirements of a person who never really saw her ruled her previous life. I was so absorbed in making sure everything revolved around him, his moods, his plans, his whims, that I forgot who I was, she said. Looking back, I feel ashamed. Not because I let myself disappear in the process. The contrast was stark when the topic of her current life came up. She spoke of an emotional stability that had previously seemed unattainable. Now that she was married to a man whose presence is constant and whose love is evident. Saying, "He is here," she gestured to the man next to her. Always here, always steady. There is no guessing, no second guessing with him. I am never left wondering if a matter. Her voice has regained its resonance after being muffled by and spiritual commitments. The woman now talks with clarity rather than resentment. Her voice has been honed by experience and fortified by recovery. She reflected on the past, remembering how the man with whom she had formerly shared a spiritual tie would frequently leave the other members of the family in a waiting position. We never knew when would show up emotionally or physically. That kind of uncertainty, it chips away at your soul. She talked about how she focused practically all of her time and attention on the family, but not always on her own health as the mother of multiple children from that prior marriage. Her life turned into an ever-ending circle of sacrifice. Every decision we made was filtered through his preferences. We didn't live, we adjusted. Every plan, every tradition, every celebration had to be modified, delayed, or reimagined because he had a different idea. She hesitated, her eyes blazing with strength and grief in equal measure. That's not how families should function. One person's comfort should not be the axis upon which everyone else's life spins. She acknowledged during these musings how agonizing it is to recall the years she spent in that routine. It's difficult to say this aloud, she said, but it's humiliating. I'll let myself be minimized. I forgot to advocate for my own joy. She was a brilliant, a woman reborn on the day of her wedding to her present companion, which was celebrated in a Red Rock sanctuary, noted for its spiritual energy. It was more than just a romantic connection. It was a turning point in her life. She looked dazzling, not merely from love, but also from reclaiming. Wearing a gown that shimmered under the arid skies. Friends and family saw more than just vows throughout the ceremony. They saw a testament to perseverance. The roles that the bride had previously felt compelled to play no longer held her. No masks of obedience or veils of silence were present, only sincerity. As Cher calls her childhood in a by antiquated principles, she realizes how little room there was for personal expression. We were always reacting, never leading. Every step forward had to be pre-approved, and every feeling suppressed so we wouldn't upset fragile balance. She reflected with a desire to empower those who were still ensnared in comparable systems, rebirth them. With resentment, to anyone who feels unseen, she continued, know that peace exists. You don't have to stay where you feel small. Her spouse added a gentle comment as the discussion went in, confirming what many had noticed about their relationship. Consistency. His presence is characterized by consistent activity rather than lofty statements. He doesn't just say he loves him. She replied, smiling gently. He shows me every single day. I didn't know that kind of love existed until now. The man from her past, who once supported a home based on several partnerships, has distanced himself from the system he supported. he remarked in a more recent admission that he no longer wants to live that way. He said, "That chapter is over," recognizing the difficulties and emotional work it required. It appears that the hurt and consequence of shattered relationships have altered his perspective, leading him to doubt the viability of such a setup. To her, the declaration was only confirmation, but to others, it might have felt like closure. She had already departed from that environment for her own survival, not out of resentment. She was already in the process of creating something new thought was more in line with her needs, values, and self-worth. She exudes a different kind of brightness now, according to many who formerly observed her navigating the challenges of that existence. She no longer follows Sumi and Niels's goals. Instead, she pursues her own goals. "It's not that I regret loving him," she explained. "It's that I regret losing myself in the process." Her outlook on the future is not one of idealistic fantasy, but rather one of realistic hope. She understands the joy of self-discovery and the price of self-abandonment. Her path is one of metamorphosis rather than erasure now. She is encircled by the affection of someone who fully sees her. She moves directly toward happiness rather than waiting for it. Once concealed under religious duties and communal drapes, her narrative is now a lighthouse for those trying to find their own path. She tells the world that healing is possible and that it starts with self-choice with each truth she shares, and each memory she recovers. A woman renowned for her fortitude and quiet courage revealed the truths that have emerged in the wake of her lengthy spiritual marriage in a poignant and illuminating moment during the most recent televised interview. She considered the whirlwind that led her to Mari, a man who gradually revealed his true nature to her with a clear focus of hindsight on her history. She entered multiple arrangement decades against the intention of creating a shared future, optimism, and trust. She started to perceive her own tale differently, though after years of emotional struggles, changing priorities, and observing the dynamics of other courtships. She is depicted in her reflections as a lady who no longer fears to challenge what she formerly believed to be fate, speaking candidly, which is uncommon in such intense private conversations. She acknowledged that her choice would have been very different if she had been given the luxury of time, real time, not her rediments, or sentiments wrapped in religious duty. If the two of us had allowed our connection to unfold more slowly, she thought, I'm not sure I would have made the same choice. Even thou, she spoke softly. The weight of years spent attempting to shape her spirit to fit the parameters of Sumi and Nils's expectations reverberated in her words. She didn't realize how little time she had to really understand what she was getting into until she surrendered their more purposeful courtship tween the same man and a much later addition to the family. That long-term relationship brought to light differences. How in contrast her own journey had been brief, pressing and nearly impulsive. She had joined this man spiritually years prior, after he had already made a commitment to Sumi and Niels. The thought of growing their family unit in cooperation and faith seemed natural to her at the time. It was a belief that they could create something worthwhile rather than love at first sight. And they did for a time. They shared homes, reared children, and negotiated the challenging and frequently emotionally taxing world of multiple living. However, as time passed, the seams became visible. She started to realize that perhaps she had never really fit the mold her spouse expected of her, which caused the harmony she had always believed in to fall apart, not because she had changed. 4. A relationship that was graduating into something she could no longer identify. She had softened heritages, muted her doubts, and given up her voice. Their stories most recenses and documented the breakdown in real time. Each woman reached a turning point in her life, a moment at which continuing to be involved seemed like erasing who she was. So they decided to leave one by one. All that remained was a guy whose ideal of spiritual diversity no rested on precarious ground. held openly by the last individual who Wasp reported to stay. There was nothing dramatic or impetuous about this woman's leaving. The revolution was calm, a choice based on emotional weariness and self-respect. She had finally found clarity, but her exartner's uncertainty did match hers. "I don't know what triggered the collapse," he had remarked, "but the anger kept building until we're both done." Her breaking point wasn't it a single incident, but rather their salt of years of being invisible, unfulfilled needs, and misunderstandings boundaries. She denied that she was portraying herself as a victim of a failed romance. She stated calmly and confidently, "I'm not playing the part of someone who's been wrong just to gain sympathy. I simply want what I feel and what I need to matter." Our tone, composed but firm, conveyed that blame was never the issue. Truth was Thadasu about acknowledging that a relationship based solely on spiritual principles cannot succeed without respect for one another, open communication, and genuine emotional work. Realizing how frequently the expectations of a family structure that revolved around one man's vision engulfed her identity has been one of the most difficult aspects of her journey. Even at the expense of her personal tranquility, she was supposed to bend, make concessions, and support theirs. And eventually that turned out to be the exact issue that broke their relationship. She now realizes the freedom that comes with letting go after standing on the other side of that existence. The mending process has started, albeit slowly. Leaving was a self-preservation decision rather than a non-act of rebellion. She also recognizes that her arguments are valid despite the fact that her exartner still expressed sincerity and displeasure. Hekentu knows to be involved in a dynamic that many observers believe is becoming more and more untenable. Hyun intentionally isolates himself, supporting one surviving partner while disparaging the others, while those wholly of him are left to bear their responsibility of defending their reality. He keeps telling a version of Vivance that portrays him as misunderstood. However, she is unwilling to bear that weight any longer. The selective storytelling, the blaming, and the emotional manipulation are all over now. His perception of their history is no longer a factor in her future path. She owns it, as does the growth that she has firmly asserted. Even though their lives are now different, their story serves as a reminder to many that even long-standing commitments can be reviewed, reconsidered, and abandoned in favor of something healthy. Not only did she have the guts to leave, but she also publicly and shamelessly acknowledged that she might have taken a different route if she had had more time to truly comprehend the man she joined all those years ago. Reclamation is the theme of this new chapter of establishing her identity beyond the boundaries of the religious home. She is relearning what it is to be respected, heard, and told of herself unconditionally. Her voice continues, Tobe, a potent reminder that even while the truth may be lengthy, it is always worthwhile as the cameras keep rolling and the tales of those who'd parted become more apparent. And that wraps up today's emotional journey through the lives of the sister wives. What are your thoughts on Kody's revelation and the strength these women are now showing? Let us know in the comments below. We read every one of them. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Daily Sister Wives for more heartfelt breakdowns, daily news, and fan discussions. Like this video if you appreciated the raw truth shared today. Share it with other fans who need to see the reality behind the scenes. We'll be back tomorrow with more from the world of sister wives. Until then, stay strong, stay informed. And as always, stay uniquely you. Thanks for watching the Daily Sister Wives.